Oh, look at that tail. There's a good nanny. Hey, buddy. Get that big boob. Come on. You guys got to figure out that side. See, that's Nanny's bad tit. She's got a scab on it right now, but in a past life, I think she had untreated mastitis, and that side holds a tremendous amount of milk, but she has a real hard time getting it out. Expressing it, I guess, is the right word in maternity terms among the ladies. That side's hard to milk. It's almost impossible for these little ones to feed on that side until they get quite a bit more mature. And I have to maintain it. If it gets too swollen, you just can't get it flowing. So that's why this goat was available for sale, because she's a real good goat, and if that wasn't her problem, the fellow who had her would not have parted with her, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't part with her either, to be honest with you, even with all the grief. A perfect goat doesn't teach you anything. One that's got problems teaches you a lot. And it's a perfect situation if you've got a goat that has some problems, but it's still a reliable, goat with longevity. To start off with, you don't want one that's so sick it's going to die, but you don't want one that's so perfect that you don't learn anything. And then you think, oh, this is easy. The more of these that I get, the easier it'll get. The easier it'll be. That's not the case. You're eventually going to run into problems. And if you've got 25 goats, you're not going to be able to manage one with a problem. It really is a weird thing. You figure it out on your own, but those that have done it, they'll understand what I mean. When you got 25 of these things and there's 2 sick ones, but they're all in one herd, you know how hard it is to sort out the 2 that you need to trim their hoofs or do this or do that? If you're too small to be set up correctly with different sorting pens and head catches and chutes and stuff, when you're homestead backyard scale, there's no impetus for you to invest a lot in infrastructure. And it's the infrastructure that makes dealing with one sick animal out of 50 being easy. When you're too small for the infrastructure investment, then you have a few sick animals. It's a pain, because now you're trying to segregate them on the fly, and you're used to having one herd, and now you got to have 2. Maybe you got one barn, but now you got to have like a sick bay, and it's got to be, if it's the middle of winter, that thing's got to have just as much amenities as the first one. Small scale, it's hard for you to justify the cost of setting up that level of automation, because you're coming out of pocket for it. You're not getting paid by anybody to have 3 or 4 or 5 goats. So everything that you have to do comes out of your pocket. And it's hard in the early stages to dedicate that much land and resources and material and cash flow to having multiples of everything. So it's probably better to start off and have an experience sickness and problems, let's just call it defects. It's probably better to experience that early so that you realize how you need to set your operation up to grow and cope with the variety of problems that are guaranteed to come from the start. It's easier to design correctly from the start than it is to go back and redesign. And when you're starting out, there's no possible way. You don't know what you don't know. Trial and error, is how you learn. So start small, I guess.